So this one we're looking at the higher reach, yes? Higher
Yeah.
power, God, spiritual, ancestral. It splinters, it splinters. So in this one we'll look at it from a perspective. So if we take a planet
Mm-hmm.
and we will say that there are star moments all over the planet. This is belief systems, God, mythical, whatever it may be, tree, nature,
Yeah.
the spirit, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that there is something that goes beyond.
Yeah.
And on multiple locations, you seem to have this very similar spark. And not just a spark. I mean, if you could go back in time, I think you would see more,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more. So you would understand that there's mythology around a higher power resonant from nature. And so much so with this, it made life forms do some very beautiful and also some very devastating things, yes?
Mm-hmm.
But the thread, they all talk about near enough, very eerily similar stuff, yes?
Yeah.
And this modernized over time, so we have certain belief that transforms into other belief, which actually technically you can say that they're all the same thing, but reach back to this same, or trying to understand, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding, well, technically understand after something, yes? Which is a very interesting situation. Now, when we see that, now whether you choose to believe or not believe doesn't really matter, but just hear it out from a perspective, that's all. And then at the moment, it then sort of stops, doesn't it? Because I don't know what the New Age beliefs are, if there is any, but it enhances your understanding nonetheless, yes?
Mm.
I think this will create a reinsurgence, or it will come back. And again, it will begin to evolve again, evolve with you. Usually this happens. So if you go over to chip, and you can put a chip inside, I don't know, the part of the brain, you know, maybe you're measuring the speed of thought. And perhaps you can have access to a database. I mean, it sounds so science fiction, but actually it's more closer to being factual than not. To be able to update your senses, you know, eye transplants, it's got to start somewhere, hasn't it? You know, to try and work out the eye. That's the holy grail, I guess, to be able to understand eyes, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to do a transplant and know how to connect the dots. Could you imagine that if that was successful, what it leads to is a type of, let's say, a camera chip, yes?
Yeah.
Being installed into the eye, which then can help people see that are blind, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be a very interesting set of circumstances, because what else can you do with that? How far can you run away with that? And it's on the verge. It's, you know, it's almost there. And then I'd ask you a question right now. Would you see, because it poses up multiple questions. So rather than having three eyes, your internal vision, and technically it's two parts anyway, your internal eye is made up of two parts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe three. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So you have your eyes,
Yeah.
and let's say you have your third eye, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say then the eyes are able to be transplanted with next to good vision, yes?
Yeah.
That poses another question of whether you can then put in a camera chip. But it asks another question. People who have sight, take it for granted, and inner sight, what happens then if you could attach something to your forehead, being a camera chip?
Mm-hmm.
Would you incorporate it? And then you have four types of eyes. And where your focus is on those, so you can use your imagination. I used to do this a lot when I was a kid. I loved it. Yeah, I was fascinated with the transition period from imagination, from the way reality went dim and imagination got brighter. so that I could see it more clearly. It came into focus almost, and I like to be on the middle ground of that transition from one to the other. And I sat there for the longest time I could remember. I didn't have shit all else to do anyway, and transitioning to try and hold between the middle ground. And as time goes on, you get a lot more able to be able to see this as you are in everyday life. It's a weird thing, isn't it? Can you imagine that? Bringing your imagination into your vision, into your reality. It appears like it's in reality. It's very interesting. It's fascinating for me, but it's hard for me to help you understand that. But I can help you understand it because you can visualize, yes? Maybe it's more easier for you to visualize perhaps the past. You remember your grandma. Do you remember her perfume? Her scent?
I remember her favorite candy. That
Favorite
was
candy.
the scent. And
Do you remember her smell? Do you remember your mum's smell?
my mom changed her.
But do you remember it is what the question is.
Yeah.
Do you remember smells?
Yeah, I
Okay, now I'm
think
going to ask you another one. What's your favorite plant?
Rose.
Rose. Can you smell a rose right now?
Yeah,
Can you smell it?
yeah, I can recall it and feel it, the smell.
Yep. So you also have an inner smell.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can agree with me on that. Okay. So
yeah.
I'm going to ask you another one as well because this is a fascinating one. Most people overlook it. Can you taste lemons? Right now, think about putting a piece of lemon in your mouth.
Yeah, I think I can, yeah.
So you also have a taste, an inner smell,
Yeah, memory of that.
a memory of it. Very strong, very pungent, very potent.
Yeah.
What about the smell of freshly cut grass? Can you smell that now?
Yeah.
You're not breathing in.
No.
You're
Recalling.
recalling this.
Yeah.
That's an amazing amount of that's your inner,
It is, isn't it?
and it's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's extremely powerful. It's well adapted.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's evolved further than your nose, your eyes,
Yeah.
and your ears. But yet, what one come first then? The inner smell or the outer? And then we say that this is about taste, which is interesting then, because if you can recall smells, and here's another one. Do you know what goosebumps feels like?
Yeah, I think
What about
so.
fear? Love? Happiness? There you are, as you're
Yeah,
flicking
I
through
think so.
memories now.
Yeah.
There
You're
it is.
saying it too quickly, so before I recall it, I'm somewhere.
So you're
yeah,
now imagining
yeah, I
funny things,
understand.
and it put you in a very good mood. So the
Yeah.
first one, fear, made you go down a little, but the happy, funny memories, and then it made you laugh. There you are. That's boom. See how quick that is.
Yeah.
That's not external. That's internal. You also have sounds. Can you hear what your nan sounds like?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Unsure, a little bit hesitant. Okay, so let's go to one that you do know. Your dad's cackle.
Yeah.
Your mum's laughter. Your mum's hello.
Mm-hmm.
There we are. There's a little smile there. Yes. Yeah, I remember your mum's hello, and I mimic it to you sometimes, and my voice is my password. Would be a great one as well. I wonder if you can trick the system with that. Now, you're recalling all of this. This is all in your database.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much you can remember, what you can remember. Okay, the smell of dog. Cat urine. Oh, there you go. Pungent reaction. There it is. There it is. That's straight up. That's how strong that was. You couldn't actually smell it, but you almost flinched from it.
Some things is more about, like you said, grandma. Now I was conflict which one, but that is only one, so that's easier to recall that one. And dog, I knew very smelly dog and quite reasonably smelly dog, so that took me a little bit longer.
Wow, so it's also breaking
distinction,
a vial. You
yeah.
are breaking a vial.
Yeah,
And,
distinction.
things are falling into the receptors and are holding it for a split second until you... Oof, it was so repugnant to you without... It was such a reaction, and you're trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, isn't it? Isn't that fascinating? So these are all your inner dialogue that we're working on, we're bringing out, and also sounds. And at the same time, when you were looking off to the side, cats, the feeling of a cat.
the feel of a cat.
Which is, again, a feeling of goosebumps or fear and touch.
Yeah.
Although you cannot see it.
Yeah.
You do not have it here.
Yeah.
But whatever that animal is that you were stroking then, I'm going to more than imagine that it's crossed over. But you can still feel.
Yeah.
That's presence.
Right.
Not just presence of a police officer walking down the road and everyone's good.
Yeah.
Everyone stands to attention.
Or birds
Or-
tucking your.
You're tugging on your hair.
Yeah.
And it's also a general that walks in. All soldiers will stand to attention, even if they're out
Yeah.
and about,
Yeah.
and they're not in that. Yeah, they always stay in that. That's the type of loyalty there, I suppose. So, yeah, that's presence too. But there's also another type of presence, an inner presence that is far stronger. Well, but still, that is a strong response. Don't get me wrong. I often like to see that when you see it and you see the posture change straight away. You know who holds the,
Yeah.
you know who's higher. And police officers with judges, they won't make eye contact all the time. Especially if judge is pissed off. It's sort of not, yeah. And if someone higher in rank comes in, they very rarely sort of make the eye contact.
I worked in one company and the director never looked into your eyes. And when you unfortunately went in the same lift because it was in high rise, it was awkward.
Yes, the choice to look in someone's eyes is often a challenge, and the choice to not look at someone is also equally a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a display of dominance in either way you want to put it, give or take, maybe. Getting a little bit off topic, but even still, you appreciate all of these. Now, where does this lead into the higher reach?
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
There's a feeling, right? You feel something, do you?
Yeah.
Some people don't pay attention to it. But that's a presence. That's the same presence that has been in most life forms across the planet. Across it. Separated by oceans, continents, and everything else. It had a lot of difficulty just to be able to go there and say, oh yeah, we were building this shrine. Oh yeah? It seems like how do you explain that? Anyway, so presence, reading faces. Do you know where reading faces comes from? And do you know why people seek other people's validation? Do you know where that comes from? Our ancestors.
Yeah.
Yes, they trusted each other. They weren't really fighting each other. You can tell this a lot by looking at those strange things that happen today. Children that love to pick up feathers. Do you even know where that comes from? And also to look up at birds as well. Do you know where all that comes from? That's deep embedded behavior, that is. Yeah. For a reason, meant survival, life or death. And pick up a feather and give it to... Kids do it so automatically. Like it's so drummed in, they didn't even need to be educated to it. And then they fascinate with it. Some people make it into garments and different things like that. And that's a behavior that stays with you. It's interesting, isn't it? But you have a few more. And it's this reading. Pictures were the first language, and third-person perspective was never done through you. Ancients seem to be more from within, because they could see from within. Yes, they can look at themselves. Sure. Maybe they go to a river and take a drink. Shades of grey. You are more likely to be attacked at a river than you are elsewhere, and it depends on what's seeking you out, especially if you're prey. So you haven't got time to look at yourself, and this is why it's so new for everybody right now. Everyone is trying to adjust to all of this new behavior because of the invention of the mirror, the invention of the camera, the invention of the video. The video means that you get to see yourself from a very different perspective, and then it becomes with no validation, because we are quite divided as a species. If you think about it, the species are divided, although they're together. We often leave home very early. Back then, there was threats around doing that. There was not independence. Independence was stupidity, that you could be easily attacked, no safety in numbers, and then you would lose the group dynamic of validation. The group validation wasn't about being validated by the group or accepted. No. If you had something on you, the group would remove that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't notice it because you're all about the inness, and everyone saw themselves as being inward, but other people saw your outer, and therefore reading your face, your expressions, especially in times where language is not, talking is a byproduct. Usually, the mouth is not the tool for talking. Not usually. Not 100%. No. It's just been. It's quite beautiful, actually. It's got a second purpose, mainly for breathing, but its main purpose is for eating. That's very interesting, isn't it? That's its main tool: breathing and eating. Pretty much it. Drinking, still. Yeah. Other than that, talking, that would mean you'd have to make sense of sounds. That's all it is. And you're click, clack, click, click, click. Yeah. Are birds really talking to one another? Or are they just making noise? They haven't evolved long enough to develop a certain type of calling for this reason. They haven't developed but it's still going on. Perhaps they're just chattery, and that's how it becomes a little bit more developed. Because if it is, I'll ask another question. Do you think one bird can understand what every other bird is saying?
I think it's more about mood. They feel the mood.
Yeah, I think so.
Someone calling the other one, or is like
Mimicry.
or it's like my territory, and then it's not that friendly or something like that.
It could be seen as a role. Could be a display of dominance. I mean, I think that's the first early versions of developing. And there's yawning, belching, and other things. It's an interesting thing. So, yes. So, with the development of mirrors and different things like that, we often take it for granted. People used to seek validation from one another. Yeah, it was very important. It was a part of the culture. It's ingrained. You've kept it. This is why people read language, which the first language is picture, face picture. Food is basically sociology. Technically, you see some food. Oh, someone leans forward. What does that mean? The face told them. You don't need words for that. That was very high developed. Nowadays, we take it for granted because, an abundance of this, and this, not so many predators around, and, X, Y, Z. But anyway, what's it got to do with the point? Well, the point is, if you could make a camera chip, would you opt to have a chip put in? And do you think it would work? I think it would. It would take a little bit of time, but after a few generations, I think we will understand that evolution is very quicker, much quicker than we actually give it credit for. So if your awareness is about being able to control imagination and vision, and how one takes center stage and gets very bright whilst the other one almost dims out. It's very interesting, almost like it pushes through. That's very interesting. Almost like it dinges completely out, and the imagination is very strong and vibrant. And then that begins to go opaque, and the vision then becomes the bright. Certain circumstances, it's summer all the time in here, with the variety of colors and different things like that, which we often feel good in summer because of the color, because of the fresher air. It really mainly is down to the fresh air. Everything starts to wake up. Life in full motion is what it is. And there's abundance. There's a lot of food around. There's a lot of this. Hunting becomes easier. You gather a lot more food. And life takes off. And for a few months of the year, you get to relax. That's what it is, because it's all coming. All the harvest is coming. And that's what creates a really good, and also the oxygen levels increase. The carbon drops down. And carbon plays a vital role in torpor. Although we don't feel like it, but it does affect you. You don't realize it until you step away from it. Can you imagine being in high oxygen, high plant, summer energy all of the time? But you've got to align to it. Okay, you put the central heating on, but you still feel a little bit sluggish, a little bit, it's winter. Your imagination plays a major role in that, especially that's why it's so developed, and we've lost touch of it a little bit. Not quite, but even still, all of that color and everything else, when you go into the torpor, the slow down.
I wonder how is it with people who have sort of spring, summer all year round?
Well, technically they don't. That's an illusion. It's a bit like saying, who's got the cheapest nation? If I take my money from here and I go holiday there, oh my God, this is so cheap. I might want to stay here. Then you do stay there, and then you get a job there, and then you're like, oh, good feeling gone. Because the wages now match that cheapness, and what felt cheap was just an illusion, temporal illusion. Unless you had loads of money in the bank and then went to a nation like that, then you kind of probably might feel a little bit mighty in that. Is where you can take a small amount, and it can, in comparison, can be quite a large amount. Especially depends on where you go. But until that feed drops down, and if you were to get a job there, then perhaps wages would reflect that cheapness, which, in contrast, would be the same amount as what it is here, no doubt. Interesting. It's an illusion, though. It's just an illusion. That's interesting. But anyway, most animals go in torpor. Yeah. Some go more into it than others. If we take certain wasps have antifreeze in their blood. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they can thaw themselves out. They can freeze on the outside and stay suspended. Now, what could you do if you stayed suspended for that long? And there are some toads as well. Also ladybirds. Interesting. So to me, to understand it, once you start then developing chips that then read the mind, I wouldn't say read it, that's technically not true. It would be where your awareness goes. That's the training. You would have to be aware of it and move into the awareness, which then aligns with the frequency that then allows you to activate this chip. And then if you begin to drop down again, then you're no longer accessing it. It's the same with this chip with a new type of camera. And why would you want the camera? Well, think about that. It's night vision. Could you imagine that? Being able to see in the dark. Now, there's also one that would then invent further. So you've got to ask yourself, I love ETs. Love it, okay? ETs, I'm pretty sure, may have already done this. Perhaps not. In this biome, in this cycle, or already in the last. Somewhere along the line, that has been done. And there's also hearing. And what about feeling? It's very interesting, isn't it? Not only send your memories to a database and upload these. That's interesting, right? What you see, how you see things. Imagination. Make sense of imagination. But anyway, as you develop, you'll be able to see a lot more heightened than you ever have seen before. Now, you might think that this wouldn't really serve much of a purpose here. But take it into space when it's dark. What can you see? Take it into a planet. Then could you then begin to enhance it and add radar to it? And then can you see a lot more into a planet past its cloud decks? Interesting. These things are very fascinating tools. They're good tools. Very good tools. It makes life more interesting. So yeah, so to the ladybird, the toad, and the wasp that is capable of being frozen, they must have exceptional imaginations. Lots of color. Lots of it. Not this black and white stuff. Nope. Lots of color. Lots of intricate displays. The first modernized version of watching videos, but it's your own video being your star. That's its purpose. Perhaps. Then when you were able to utilize these chips to do different things, such as, we could say, ears.
Yeah.
And we could say eyes.
Yeah.
Which would be eye, not eyes. But even still. And also mind. What happens if you connect this to an animal? A way of to be able to eavesdrop on what they see. Because I mean, one thing to see it, a ladybird, what they're happy at -5, can go down to -15 C, below C, and but they prefer to dip around 5. Why? Because if they don't freeze at all, then they have an early spring. They don't need to de-thaw. They don't need to defrost, maybe. They don't need to thaw out. And therefore, they get a bit more of a season, a longer season. Interesting, isn't it? But even still, so we see that and we understand that they can be frozen, and that's very basic understanding. But what's going on inside their minds? What is that brain doing whilst they're in that mode? That's the bit that's missing, which is fascinating. Well, for me, this is fascinating. I mean, never mind tuning in into which is your favorite channel, but also see it from a perspective of all of this spiraling and whatever else they may see. Help you understand how they think. Understanding how they think from a human perspective, and this seems very science fiction, it's closer than you think. Well, they're going to see something when it means food, when it means hunger, when it means this. That's one window in that you can get them to eat just by thinking it. That's this we would call telekinesis, telepathy, TK, whatever you want to call it. That is a very strong amount of. Never mind doing this with other humans, because that's obvious. It would go that way, that you could see into minds. Love will change. Love, true love. Love will become abundant. Again, this is another thing that will increase in this. And also, God. And why God? Well, that would be very interesting, wouldn't it? You know, on a database or in a database. Also, it's sight, beyond sight. Enhancing your instruments. So far, your brain has been able to enhance the eyes this much. It almost gives you everything at a default level, deliberately.
Yeah.
But it gives you the ability to see more.
Okay.
A lot more. Especially if you start utilizing the chip in a camera, for argument's sake. I mean, that's a lot of seeing. And then if you're able to tap one into the mind, whew, that's a lot of knowing. And especially with other animals, that's an awful lot of knowing and a lot of understanding what they're going through in those torpor moments. You often notice this with fish. Fish go into torpor mode and they slow right down. They barely even move. Some of them, they barely move. Now, this is not by accident. This would definitely indicate that why do they have that behavior, not just with humans.
Yeah. Well,
it's because the gases fluctuate. I told you with one of my friends, he's passed on now, but we used to experiment with things, with different gases. Also with a lot of understanding the mind, whether that would be in certain little mixtapes that we do to one another, and just be able to experiment the mind. But it was also experimenting with the mind using oxygen. Actually, it wasn't just these. I shan't go into it terribly deep because I don't want to go into it in this one. But we were playing around with gases. Not harmful gas. Some of it might be seen as stupid, but it's the data that we were getting from it. That's the absolute difference in how you operate in these certain modes. Obviously not pushing the boundaries too far with CO2 and O2. Playing around with these and fluctuating between the two is a very fascinating experience. It's touched me and it's stayed with me for a very long time. And I sort of broke the ice by suggesting it as a joke. And it just escalated from there with this particular experiments. And why certain things slow down in CO2? Well, because then you utilize less of this. That's interesting, isn't it? And then when you move faster, you use more of this and less of this, which is giving you your spring, from spring to summer, and also your autumn to winter. So we live in two frequencies even on the planet, which is a very... Now, depending on how far back the ancients went, of how far these fluctuations happened around them, because that's again another part of the knowing that's not understood fully. And then what's the response of that? There are other gases too, by the way, so we can't overlook it too much. We can't just focus on these ones. We never did. We focused on a lot of other gases too. But even still, the frequency between the two. What do you do? What are you capable of doing? Well, in CO2, you're capable of thinking much more. In O2, you're capable of doing much more. So if you think about it, when do the most things get built? Winter or summer? We often blame it on the cold. Is it the cold? Or is that just we are conditioning ourselves to believe it's the cold? But is it the fact that the CO2 has risen? Not completely, and this one hasn't dropped fully, but there is definitely a massive difference in that. And we often blame it on being too cold. Well, cold makes you shiver. And shiver makes you kind of start using up more energy, which it does, and therefore you require more oxygen. That's an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
If you're warm enough and you're in this sort of torpor mode and you hibernate, so to speak, you're using less oxygen. Therefore, you must be in suspended animation. Just don't realize it, but you blame it on the cold, and animals hibernate because it's the cold. Is it though? Or is it because we are more connected to nature than we actually care to admit? It's because nature is shut away and there's not much oxygen being promoted. So we could understand that there is a... humans have a summer optimal operating function, and we also have a winter, which is optimal for winter. Do you see how the mind becomes more important? You're more out of your mind in the summer than you are in the winter. In the winter, you're more likely in the mind. If your mind is not clean, you will probably reach depression and overthink things, more likely so in the winter than you will in the summer. When you're in summer, well, you don't want to be in, you don't want to be closed off, you want to be out, you want to be about, you want to be in that, you're feeling good. And do you think that it's because it's summer? Is it? Or is it the oxygen? Is it the colour? Does it remind you of anything? Yes, in your mind. Long since forgotten. That's why it plays a role. Memories are more likely to hit in the winter than they are in the summer. So stronger minds, perhaps, in the summer. It's very fascinating for me. I like this. So again, the technology goes again to understand saturation levels in your blood. Humans are the only ones, not the only actually, that will stay awake. So they persevere through madness, literally. It's interesting, isn't it? Some people say it's the heat that makes people, but also the cold. You see, there's more of an outward aggression and there's more of an inward aggression in winter. Did you notice that? It's interesting, isn't it? More inward. Wow, that's a susceptibility. So then if we were to add more with this and understanding the mind, because to understand the mind, you understand the body, and then you look a little further, and then you understand the environment, which is the sociology, all the information that's coming in, then affects this psyche that we have. Interesting. Anyway, so where does this lead us to God and understanding the higher reach? Wow. One, if you ever were to meet ETs, what would be the first question? You know what a great icebreaker would be? First, you would need to be able to communicate with each other. So there's a barrier for you. But let's just imagine that you had technologies that were capable, let's say both sides, humanity and whatever these are, let's say Orions. Yes? Made a similar technology, went the same way. The data was able to be exchanged between the two of them. Probably wouldn't connect it to all of your main systems. You'd probably go out there with a typewriter version, the old PC, the very first ones you got, just in case, you know. And they probably do the same, because just in case you infect their ship and steal all their secrets, or maybe, you never know, they're going to be hesitant. The life forms are going to be hesitant. Let's say we break past all of those barriers and there's no war or anything else, and there's ET and there are the hum-mans. What's the first question you should really ask them? I know a great icebreaker, by the way.
I don't know. What's the first question? Is there a God?
Yeah. Do you feel something higher? Do you, I mean, how you word this is the body stops. And if they, similarly, the Orions, let's say, from the Aetes, the Orions. And assuming that they've not figured out how to conquer death, and maybe they have a part of the journey, but there's just so many bits missing. And likewise with humanity, there's part of the journey. You never know, the pieces of the puzzle could be here that you need, and your piece is what they need. I mean, that would be an interesting thing. Maybe it doesn't get you quite there, but it gets you a step closer until something else comes. But the thing is, with that being that they're being deaf, it's a hell of an icebreaker, isn't it? Do you have an overwhelming sense that something leaves? your presence, which your presence or your existence, which you are present, there's also a presence inside you. That's interesting, isn't it? And on multiple different cultures separated by colossal distances, all seem to share this same thread. And if there were more under the ocean layers, and if we could go back even further, and no doubt if they were primitive thinking, the stone come from somewhere, but that seemed like a very intelligent amount of knowledge there. Now, there was an ice age. Did they carve into ice? Did they have massive monuments that they made in ice? It was easier. They thought it was permanent. We often think that they might have thought that the ice would disappear. They probably didn't. They haven't been around long enough to know that. It's been like this. It's always going to be like this. Let's stay stuck like this. Let's keep carving this. And someone probably came to him and said, you know, you probably don't want to do that. Now, shut up, you know, whatever it may have been. Yeah, nailed to a tree or something. I don't know. Stoned or whatever it may have been. I don't know. And then it begins to melt. So you can tell that there's a lot of enhancements here that seemed to have carried forward from somewhere else. A lot of enhanced, developed thinking. It's deep. It's got a lot of depth. I mean, when you see where some of these things have come from, there's a question mark. Just like it, that's why we look at it and we think, God, they were so intelligent. Yes, because it drops off the cliff, doesn't it? That's what it does. There's all of this sort of knowing, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Well, there was a massive ice age. Were they carving into that? They were definitely around. Their numbers were well established back then. Do you like barbecue, anybody? Yes, because trying to thaw out a frickin' dinosaur. You would understand fire by that point and things to burn. T-Rex, how long would that last you? Could you imagine it? I would eat it, wouldn't you? In that moment? Shit me, I'd dig worms. Assuming that they would be alive. Lots of plant matter in there anyway. So when you look down in the layers, something converted most of that. I'm pretty sure it was worms. But even still, you come across that, you're gonna, wood, burn it. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And then you're gonna create ice. And I'm pretty sure they had ice temples as well. Yeah, I'm almost sure of it. And I'm on the verge of knowing. And anything before that, what were they doing? Yeah. That knowledge seems to just, but it seems to be too advanced for it to have started here, because the behavior there indicates that there was something way before. That amount of developed thinking, that's had a long time to think about that. What drove them to do it? Perhaps the coming of the Ice Age and losing the information. And I think that much as an Ice Age can destroy civilizations, it can also destroy them when you move out of an Ice Age, because you get comfortable, you get complacent with it, you start to learn how to do things. This knowledge gets lost very easily because you're in panic mode, because none of them have ever seen anything thaw out before. Perhaps not. And maybe there was something very big and bad happen that triggered that. Yeah. Only they would know. Perhaps it's indicated with a meteorite. They would look more interested in the sky after that. So perhaps something happened that turned off an ice age. I often wonder that. If you were surrounded by large ice sheets and a meteorite hits, could it cause thawing? Can it kickstart your core? Can it make you hotter in that way? Can it puff you up, meaning that you catch more sunlight that comes in? These are questions that need asking and answering, and perhaps you never get the answer fully, but their development is strong. That's a long time's worth of thought there, and it seems to have just come out of nowhere. And then you've got the problem with Earth. It's a water world. It's more of a water world than it actually appears to be. We take it for granted. There's when you go deeper down into some of the depths where the ocean layer is, some of these isotopes are immense. But what you're really saying is, if you unpack that, what appears like a poppy seed, turns into Everest in volume if it's out of that area. And then you can then understand that with that calculation, you don't need to take very long to understand that a lot of land mass is gone. And that's interesting, isn't it? And also in an ice age, Might be a good thing in some aspects because it allows you to maneuver. Perhaps, perhaps not. I don't think it's everywhere, and I do think it shatters and shears. I think the oceans are unstable under there at the same time. I think there's shifts that happen. The ice was probably very temperamental in certain aspects, and a lot of friction anyway. But even still, so we look before this moment happens. What could there be? Now, oceans is like abrasive paper. Ice, incredibly powerful stuff. Okay, it doesn't knock down all trees. They seem to have a sort of antifreeze in them, don't they?
Yeah.
If you notice that, where they make tree wells around them, that's pretty clever. That's quite a clever way to be. And also the trees that rise up afterwards. It knew something happened where even nature evolved its thinking. Goes from pine, solid pine, and it starts to evolve into birch, hazel. I think there's some of that, and there's many more to label them all, but mainly birch. And the life expectancy of these plants diminished quicker, and therefore wood floats. Interesting. And have you seen some of those trees? I can't remember what they're called now. The ones that we saw today with all those little wood parts that fall off quite a bit. You know, this builds things up. It builds up the land mass. And what happens with wood when it gets wet? It expands. But we don't often see that. And when it dries out, it contracts, which is a fascinating process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And plants then, nature then begins to waste its leaves. That is a lot of energy to do that. But why does it do that? Something altered its thinking. And therefore, flooding is very probable. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Less atmosphere, more mass. Anyway, but still. So it altered nature's thinking, humans' thinking, kind of almost developed simultaneously at the end of the Ice Age. Things changed. So any information that was held before that, and then depending on how long the Ice Age lasts for, plus with some of these sheer masses, anything that they did build, if they did build it, and if it was made out of wood because of the wood age, the glass age, the purification age, the stone age, metal age, there's many ages. There's also the bone age, the dinosaur age. I mean, lots of meat, lots of frozen meat. That's why you still have freezers. That's why you also cook food. And the smell of barbecue in the air. Oh, that smells good, doesn't it? You smell that? You smell it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You smell that because you've held on to it, plus feathers and everything else. So, yeah, for good reason. Probably because that used to be a full-time diet. There have been a lot of oils come from that too, so that's interesting as well, isn't it? So lots of bits missing, but this development seems to be more enhanced. So it would have gone back further, and what that looked like, well, you can only guess. If there was a wood age, it's not going to hold up to very much, is it?
No.
And most of that pine is extremely flammable anyway, so yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? And fire, perhaps things grow in fire. It is infrared after all. Infrared plants are fascinated with that sort of flame. They do get a little bit bigger, and it also feeds it, and it keeps it warm. It's the warmth that it wants. The light, it can make do with it. It just needs that warmth, and it doesn't need to be cooking like humans. No, it just needs a little bit of warmth. Too much, too much. Just a little, and you'll be fascinated with that. That's impressive, isn't it? So, interesting. So there must have been a lot of stuff used before then, but depending on how weak it was, which then could have developed the mindsets of getting this stuff into stone. Now, it's not the process or the journey that I'm interested in, it's the mindset, how they enhance that information. They must have carried this, stored it in their database, their memory, which they might have held this information and passed these stories down and played a little bit of Twisted Whispers over the time, and a few people were like, fuck the past. Why don't we say we did it? Look how great we are. Control, you know, it's the way it is, right? And dominance and looking special to other people. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's followed, the blueprint. And then all of a sudden, the same way that it drops out, it's almost dropped off now. We've got a few remaining understandings, and some of it has been let go, and a lot of it has been lost to time and, could we say geological events on the planet? A lot of it's been lost because of that, those changes. Interesting. AI database is a massive, amazing thing. If we say AI, shouldn't say that. Computer database. being able to store all of this knowledge. If there was anything that would happen, you'd have the blueprints to always rebuild it. But someone in the future will be like, fucking delete all of that. Fucking who are these? No, we're deleting those. Let's add my family in there or this one. You know, people are going to change it, obviously. If they're going to seize the opportune moment, right, and seize it. You know, this is just what the people do.
Yeah.
It will become the new war of information, probably, and I think that's been shared. But it's this enhancement. Breaking the ice, if you find other life forms, this then asks another question. What if they're like you? We feel that too. You break the ice instantaneously. That breaks the ice. How do you explain that to one another? Well, you need to understand how each other communicate, and you can work that out very quickly. And maybe be able to pass over some information. But this opens Pandora's box to put down the weapons and be able to break the ice. It's an icebreaker. And then you've got ETs, yes? And then you've got advanced ETs.
Yeah.
Ones that are a lot more advanced than all of this. They're on the next level. This is humanity, what, you're on level 6, maybe, give or take, 6. If you ever go to space, what are we saying? Around level 10 to 12, I'm going to say. And then the advanced ones, well, they're hitting around 20. And there is beyond and beyond and beyond. Each phase has a different type of phase level, and these levels are quite high in intelligence, by the way. They're very high in this understanding and different understanding. And once at level 20, they know some shit. As opposed to the ones at, let's say, level 6. Let's go level 12 with these, yeah? Because if you go to space and everything else, you're going to conquer a lot. Being able to meet each other, probably we're hitting around 15. So, either on. So you've just really got to grips with the Soho, your individual Sohos, and then you begin to travel and then maybe rendezvous with each other, perhaps not. And you break the ice about this internal essence. And providing they have depth, which is likely that they will at this level, these levels, probably a little bit more advanced in that understanding. But whether you feel something when it leaves your body. And now, that would be an interesting conversation, but what would be even more interesting is if they have a similar pattern. It makes you ask many more questions. In fact, it enhances. You can, but you shouldn't. Perhaps you should be more wiser and be tactful, to be able to be respectful of other religions or understanding. This is where we say, in this particular understanding, all of these seeds have an origin point, a bit like life does here. It's got an origin. All right, it might not be identical, but it's the theme. The theme that there is something that leaves your body. And that there is something that is collecting. That's where it gets eerie. That's in the two that they just explain it at face value, because if you're understanding the God database, and if you put this into a database and people think about it, even the people that don't know what to believe because they don't have enough in their filters, perhaps for whatever reason that is, it only takes a few of you to think it, and it shares this belief. And then once this is shared, because it's a database, it's fascinating, other people will take that knowledge into their situation, and they will then rethink the thought. You see, it's passing thoughts. This is another thing with the database. If one person has a thought and they pass it to someone else and that person enhances it, the core, the baseline stays the same, but this person added this much. Then this person adds this much. Then the next person adds this much, right? The more people you have connected to this that are able to think thoughts, the more you put into the database, the more info you get back, which then enhances understanding. Yeah? So it's like pass the thought. And most people are so socially awkward in today's world because we have come apart. No, it's not that it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just, that's just what's happened. Back in the day, people used to be community. Used to go close together and exchange thoughts. There wasn't a TV program to go and watch. We were more into thoughts and sharing this stuff, and people were putting their 2 pennies in, and 2 pennies equal this. An established understanding. Understanding requires many humans coming together and bouncing this off of each other. We often see this when someone puts something online and we see the trending and it explodes. And everyone then starts talking about it. But what no one is really doing is recording what they're talking about. You know, some people say that it's not all about comments. Could you imagine if people actually come together as friendly
Yeah.
and have a discussion that starts off with someone says something and then the comments start to fill up, and then you use AI to take the comments plus the main subject that was spoken about
Yeah.
and incorporate it all together, and then recycle this back into the narrative stream and see what people think about it.
Yeah.
And then once again, people will comment again onto that. That's now including everybody. And then again, eventually, until no one else has got nothing to say on it and you've just enhanced off of that database. You know, it's good at the moment. It trends. Things trend, but it's usually people licking toilet seats or something like that. It's fucking bizarre. I'm not sure really I want to put that into a database and enhance that, but that's just where it is at the moment. But I think when it comes to something like this subject, that it begins to evolve like that, it sort of refines it down, but never forget where you come from. You can't delete this stuff. This needs to be put in because this was the journey to X, Y, Z. Then you have the understanding of certain religions that are about now. That's even more of the branch. And there's a lot lost. There's a lot lost, but it doesn't matter because there's still fragments to work with. And the more that people then begin to roll with this, like a dung beetle, the Egyptians, man, fucking hell, that meant all of that is beautiful, and also the Mayans too. And Aztecs, you begin to Sumerian, you begin to expand the belief, and then you hold it as one understanding, yes, which perhaps fragments into a few, the overall subject, that sort of fragments, but either way, it begins to grow. Then this one can grow, and then this one can grow, but it becomes the sort of overall area, and then as times change and more information comes in, it may fracture and grow again, but it's still overall subject, essence, leaving. I would say that they go in a similar direction. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as that. And yes, YouTube, if you want to try that process, I mean, give it a go. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, of understanding thoughts and integrating comments to it. Because some people make some really good comments on one particular thing someone says, and they add a couple of pennies to it, and you're like, I look at that and I think, fucking hell, that's a smack of genius there. You know, that incorporated, and then where do you draw the line to reach out to someone? And people are going to be less hesitant to join up with you because they think that you're going to steal the limelight. Yeah, and then we get arguing about that ego side of it. When really, that is worthy to stand right there, and your little 2 pennies and your 2 pennies and your 2 pennies, you just enhance this idea.
Yeah.
You know, the essence is this was dropped, but look at what you built from it. And yeah, you should come into this. Why? Because your 2 pennies are good. That creates stability, certainty, and understanding. It formulates it. You know, makes an idea turn into, you know, it just ricochets through, and it grows. A bit like the dung beetle. When you get this with religion. And if they've done the same or similar, and you keep all of these seeds, and when 2 life forms come together, that's when it really opens your door. Not only did these ones, because the point of this is separated by landmass, which we can't really say that because there was an ice age, but it's where did that come from? I can definitely see in the human behavior chain, there's more. There's a lot more development. It didn't start at this level here. This is fragments of something that is well developed. Now what that is still, there must have been seeds that developed that. And it branched off in this way and then in this way because it's, there are different levels, and it evolves again. And some of them were growing at the same time. And again, if it does have one origin, it's expanded into multiple facets, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Many different rivers. It's a bit like a root system. You have the main root, and then you got all the branches that come off of it. It's all the same root. We're not going to sit there and say, well, this root's better than that bit. Why? It's the same fucking thing, isn't it? Next thing you're going to tell me the top's better than the bottom. But it is. I don't think you could have the top nor the bottom without the top or bottom. Or the middle bit. Or water, or a star. Okay, we're getting complex now, but still, it's the... And when you got this, and you've got 2 saying it, oof, that enhances it. Explodes a little bit more. Plus database. Ooh, fucking hell. It's going to make it very difficult to say that there isn't something after this. Now, what that is, label it what you want. Creating gods? Interesting. That's not it. That's still not it. You know what the next bit is? Because it's like reaching through. So that's your understanding would be this one. And then there's Etty's understanding, yes? And then there's something else. Let's say you come together and then you start putting life on other planets, right? You know, you got to make a start. How arduous was it for people to make houses back in the day? It must have been a fucking nightmare trying to do that out of wood. They can do it from wood. I'm not on about all of these fancy carving buildings that people do out of wood. Your ancestors were not doing that. They made it look beautiful, don't get me wrong, but they didn't have time for that shit. Being out a long time trying to carve all of that, no, it had to start somewhere. It had to start shit and build and evolve. They were using wood, no doubt, and eventually they began to carve into it and make it look lovely.
Yeah.
And let's say then that you start to maroon life on other bodies, yes? So creating a planet. I'm not on about finding a planet and shaping it all off. That's lovely, don't get me wrong, but creating your own planet where you get to remove all of the nonsense out. I mean, Earth, you're good, but what about if I removed your earthquakes? Or what about if I removed your unstable core and volcanoes? Wouldn't it still replace it with AI and it's a bit more controllable? Yes? Stable, I should say. Control? A little bit of a weird word because sometimes AI acts out. So, you know, there's going to be issues that happen. But even still, let's say if you could build it so that it was more tempered to be in summer all year round without any problems, self-fulfilling prophecy, water that's beautiful, all of this sort of stuff, and it creates life on it. First time, a little bit tricky, right? Now there's more populations and they build another one that's going to evolve again. It's going to evolve again. And again, it depends on how it's built. If it's module-based and modules come together, it's going to be like press print. Eventually it'll be like press print. A bit like now. How many houses can you knock up in a summer? It's fucking incredible, isn't it? I actually marvel at some of that some of these buildings go up very quickly. It is impressive. Back in the day, that took a long time. Now, it's like pretty much it. Can you imagine if you built modules this way? It's even quicker.
That would be.
And then that's a tempered environment, yes? Sort of, even if it came to it. And then you might evolve making planets, and it seems like that's impossible. But, well, it is from this understanding, but you've got to start somewhere, and then eventually it becomes every day. How long does it take to build a plane these days? A ship? Well, we built this in this many months. Are you fucking kidding me? How long did it used to take them? And then pirates, the bastards, used to steal them. No, they did. They used to go nick ships, didn't they? Trick question. How did pirates make ships? They didn't. They stole them. I'm just commandeering this. So anyway, you understand it gets faster and faster and faster. And then you're making planets every day. And then you've got all of that different life. You play around with life. Not on about life forms that you've got now, hybrids or anything else like that. No, I'm on about making life. From all of the building blocks. You play around with it. No, it's not on our bit, is it? No, it's fine. We'll put them there and we'll maybe check on them later on. We'll get the pot cooking. And then you come back and you find that there are beings on there. You know that they were going to go a sort of direction, but not 100% how they were going to turn out, yes? You had the general idea, but they just need time. Time you have, because if you've got to travel off to another Soho in the meantime and different things like that. And then you come back and they've developed. And they've built these great big fucking monuments towards this thing called God. What would you do? I mean, never mind that you've got etis, you've got humans' understanding of all of this stuff here, and you've got their understanding of it, which is then now introduced into your understanding of it, which enhances the database on both sides is equal to. And then you create little versions of life forms and where you've got to be able to give them a decent habitat. The habitat's got to be able to self-generate. It's got to be a self-fulfilling prophecy in the time that if the numbers stay this big, you know, that they will look after themselves in that aspect. If one gets too ahead, it can reach a buffer zone, and you know that they won't be leaving because, well, they're going to have to enhance their minds. The minds are going to take a little bit of time to enhance before it reaches that stage. But then let's just say they do start to reach this, they're leaving the hunter-gatherers, let's say. You would probably put more chances of humanoid with more potential that they're going to be communicating, intelligent. Oh, but it gets more interesting because the older these life forms are, and let's talk about amino acids, different things like that, building blocks of life or whatever. These get more and more enhanced the older and older the life forms are. So if you put life on one particular biome and you do it on another biome being not universal biome, being planetary biome, and you do a few more, this one's intelligence, this one will be faster, this one will be even faster, depending on what time you did it. Although this one's older, this one's slightly newer, this one's slightly newer. Because if you use the same blocks that you had, because this one has now existed for X amount of time, has learned more information, depends on what it was exposed to. And then that poses another question, because depending on what you expose these to in the meantime, gives you a completely different outcome to when you remove it on this one and life forms on this one. They're going to build up. Maybe it doesn't build up because you're just going to go and sprinkle in, humans go down there and have a quick piss all over the planet, go, and then all of this stuff grows. No, I'm not talking about, no, you engineer it.
Yeah.
So that it's guaranteed. Variable, but it's more guaranteed than it's not. Yes?
Yeah.
So it's gonna go towards humanoid, just not quite. Yes? You just don't know if it will. It's just more likely that that's how that is via you.
Yeah.
Now that poses a contradiction, right? Because now you're playing God.
Yeah.
You are becoming a god, and you don't realize it, but it makes you ask a question, which is the higher reach. Let's say you come back to this one. Let's say it's successful. They've developed a type of language, and you've got to work it out, which you will work it out because you've got more knowledge ahead of them, although they're going to be more, they're going to have more compact ability because of how long this has been around for.
Yeah.
So maybe you would dial it back slightly. Not much, just a little. You would make it so that you can give them, you'll understand sociology, which then affects psychology. So in order to be able to, you would give them triggers, certain things that you would make them see that would then affect their psychology that unlocks more, faster, depending on how safe they were. Yeah, it's interesting. It depends on what you see. And this would then depend that you would be past level 20 at this ratio. You would be more into 30 at this ratio. This is much, much more. But you are now asking yourself more questions than you've ever asked before about gods. What are gods? You're going to start to ask yourself a very weird question. And as you start chatting and doing some really strange stuff, and they start praying to deities, it makes you ask two questions. One, are you the deities?
Yeah.
And if they're praying, are they praying to you? Or are they praying through you? And then, was we created by advanced entities, or were we created by the Maker? And then if you were created by the entities, do you have a Maker as well? And if they're like, fuck yeah, we do. We're trying to understand this too. This is reciprocal. Well, we're asking the same question here back to you, Still, doesn't get you closer to it. But then there are more variables. These ones from X over there have come up to the same conclusion. You've come to the same conclusion. And now these fucking things here are also coming to the same conclusion. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I love you little bitches. Anyway, but these specimens, fine specimens, And then you do it again, and these are asking the same question. How do you answer that? What would it make you think? Maybe you need some time. You're going to need some time with these thoughts. I know you are. Because it's not something that most people ask themselves, is it? Do you know how much this opens up your minds? You know these conversations really pull apart your mind. In a good way. It opens you up. Makes you think about it. It makes you go, wait, what? You say, now does it make you believe more in it or less in it?
less or more in what than
Look,
in
would it
maker or
enhance
in
your understanding of what a deity or a god is? Benevolent or malevolent? Is that how you say it? Maybe. Some will say evil, some will say good, yes?
yeah
Well, that's tempered on the beings, isn't it? I don't think good things will create other life forms.
Yeah.
Bad things will make other life forms.
yeah yeah. When you look at Greek and Roman gods, they look like some etiquettes that came, don't they? And they come from some longer past times, just reused. And when you look at some gods that are mentioned in some other nations, some Southern America or Central America, it's the same, isn't it?
I'm going to have to tell
Someone
you, I
came.
have never studied any of this, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know what you're talking about. It's kind of a weird thing to say. I get it.
Mhm.
I get it, but
Yeah.
I have not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I've heard is maybe someone mention this, and you've mentioned it, but to say that I know that subject, not from that perspective.
Mm.
So I've never really. So you're telling me that Greeks did this? And Egyptians, perhaps, is
Yeah,
the.
Greeks had different gods that had names, and they came from Mount Olympus, where they were supposed to.
Is this on Mars?
No, that's on Earth.
On Earth.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But they were like, I don't know. They are depicted like people, though they could take different forms, but they are depicted like people, and they had
Yeah, life
different.
forms will take
Yeah.
different forms
Yeah.
when they've been in space,
Yeah.
depending on how obsessive with control they are. If you've got it's eggs in the same basket, so if you've got a few that go off, we'll take the planet for example. I help you understand it
Yeah.
easier this way. People that live under oceans and people that live on mountains.
Yeah.
Everything they take with them evolves with them. So if you're living on a mountain and you need food, it's counterproductive or counterintuitive to walk down the mountain to get water and then walk back up the mountain, depending on how high it is. And also the same with food.
Yeah.
I'm just going down to the chip shop. Any guys want some chips? Yes, please. Okay, I'll try and carry these back up. Yeah, it's kind of a journey. 4 days later,
Yeah.
you then got some food. So that's kind of counterintuitive. So
Yeah, it
if you climb the mountain, you're going to take what you need up the mountain.
Yeah. Or use whatever is there. Yeah.
Yeah, all that. Either or, anything that is there will evolve with you, and you will find out, because humans will find out what works, what doesn't, and how to make it work.
Yeah.
Now, these beings that would live up on a mountain very high up will evolve differently internally. The structure will evolve differently to people that live on, I'm going to say ground level and then below ground.
Yeah. There's
going to be a difference on how they evolve. So some are going to be able to take crushing pressure. You'd be good on Jupiter. Off you go. And again, the evolving will happen again. And the ones that live on the peak of a mountain, depending on how high it is, some of them don't like to leave it like that. They like to get higher and higher and higher. So they might build it up further and further, pushing the limits of what they are. So we understand that people do free diving, hold on one breath, deep down dive.
Yeah.
No equipment. They dive down deep and up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they want to try and get deeper and deeper each time.
Yeah.
It's the true to be said that humans will also think the same way if they're up a mountain. Can we get higher and higher?
Yeah.
So they will build up higher and higher and higher. And as they do so, each time they get higher and higher, the evolution will begin to change. It works with them because there's multiple different directions to go off in. So these ones will be able to, when we start looking at space programs for each of these, one's going to need a colossal amount of pressure in order to sustain life up in space. And anything that they take down with them, if it's in a high pressure environment, let's just say for argument's sake, it's under the ocean.
Yeah.
They find a way to live under the ocean a bit like dolphins, I don't know. They're going to be able to take a lot of pressure. And the ones that land, well, they're in the middle. They're the best of both worlds, technically. Although there's a buffer zone to how high they can go and how long they can do it, and also into the depths of how long they can do that. But ground level seems to be Goldilocks. The ones up the mountain that keep on increasing their height will be able to probably come down to ground level, but won't be able to go down to the bottom layer. And their spacecraft is going to be completely different. It's going to be very light, not much pressure at all, and the gases are going to be different, and the lungs are going to respond to that differently. So then you bring this out into a universe structure. Some are going to want to make artificial gravity, some want no gravity, some are going to go and play around near a black hole, some are going to go and play around near a star. Some are going to walk on planets that are bigger, some are going to walk on planets that are smaller. They're going to take the food with them at the same time, and these things are going to evolve. They're not going to just fall into a planet. No, they'll probably find the mountain ridges first and then descend slowly. And the others, maybe, they'll ascend slowly. It's just the way it is. And each time they do this, the nature or the food supply, they keep the food supply above, by the way, because it's evolved. And wise people don't take all... In going from planet to planet and location to location, they never ever... put all their seeds in the same basket, which technically is they never put all of their seeds in the same module and make the whole module come down. No, they don't do that. They leave the ones that are in the module happily growing, and they keep those growing. They take the next gen down, and slowly but surely these ones then begin to evolve in this environment, but may not evolve here. They will if they take them up and introduce them slowly. And what this does is it creates a different variation. It changes them even further. So it really begins to morph them up. Not 100%, but the evolution gets to work through you, or we'll say God. And these ones are going to be evolving this way. The ones that have now come from here down to here are going to start evolving this way. And these ones, when come back up here, will evolve in a completely different way to what these ones are, because they were given new information, which was this landmass. And any of the beings that came down onto here will also start evolving this way with their nature, whatever it is, the food supply. And then they have so many different food sources that are so different, and they would probably take these with them, because now this one works here, and it will evolve this way. And as it does so, it gives you a variety of food, and it works for nature if they have nature, assuming they do. If they have animals, it will work with the animals, assuming that they do. And this creates very different, and the ones that stay here and breed this way and like this food didn't want to come down, probably won't. These ones that did want to come down and brought their nature down will evolve and expand and get bigger. These ones are going to look very different from these ones, although they are from the same facet, and any others that have got any other places, they will also begin to look different too. They'll all be the same species, but they will be extremely different in how they look. And evolution, then they would look at that, and it opens Pandora's box, because now which one of our lungs actually work the best? Retracing all of those steps, it's an incredible journey. It's something that should be embraced and not feared. It's something that should be walked. Technically not. It should be something that should be happily embraced and welcomed. But there's many different, and it also affects the mind as well, and what they think, and as there's more stuff coming into the environment, and that's how you get different life forms here to be very, very different. So when you look at the information that you're talking about, don't know it too well. The fact is, where did they get that information from, being able to think that? Being on the earth, and their thought, which we call mythology, how were they able to think that up? And therefore, it would indicate to me that there's more truth in that than meets the eye, because that is too advanced. I don't think you can just sit down and think about that unless you know something. Do you understand? Now, whether that's working with the creator or not, that's up to you to take that, or something happened that they know about, because that much information right there is a lot of thought, and it shows that it is it doesn't work this way. This seems to be something that is parallel to, and it sort of has bridged a gap somewhere between the two, and there's likewise information been shared on both sides. So that's very advanced for very primitive. And also when we look at the Mayans understanding space, and they also had knowledge that they shouldn't know. Not that they shouldn't know, it's how did you know that? That's interesting. And deities, whether you believe this stuff or not, it's up to you, but that's a lot of advanced thinking. And also elongating skulls. That's interesting. That's fascinating. Yeah, they wanted to think more so.
Mm.
Obviously, it's a bit famous. This is what it is. It's fame. Because if you take Eminem, for example, okay, and a few of his songs, I will shit on you, I don't care who you are. Every time I see a seagull, I think about that song. Yeah, anyway, but we take Eminem. If he dyes his hair blonde, everybody dyes their hair blonde. Yeah? If Snoop Dogg is rocking the latest footwear, all of his fan base is rocking the latest footwear. I don't know, if Beyonce sings about diamonds, perhaps people want to go and get diamonds. I'm not really sure if you understand that. If anyone has a type of Rihanna hairstyle and they're into Rihanna, they may begin to change their style. That's fame. That's just what it does. Now imagine if you see something that you've never seen before. It seems very friendly. You're going to think that that's very famous. What are you going to do? What do you think the human populace are going to do? Or they're going to start to change the way they look. Maybe try and look like them, because that's fame. That's impressive. That's new. I've not seen this before. That's whoa. We were just wearing leaves. Actually, we weren't wearing nothing at all, and you come down with all of your beautiful stuff. Wow. And if they're decorative as well. Yeah, again, I understand that the bones will be something that will be interesting. Controlled gristle in certain areas to make themselves enhance their features. I would, personally. We do it with ink. Perhaps back then you couldn't do it in any other way, so you use ink. Again, if you could pick an avatar or shape your avatar, would you shape your avatar be in your body? Yes, you put jewelry in. Yeah? Do you like some colour in the hair? Something? Yeah, some people like tattoos. I like scar tissue more. Personally, for me, I like scar tissue. It's very nice. It tells a story, stretch marks, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. I like it. It's very natural, right? And some tribes do this, I think. Yeah, some sort of. I like this. Look, that looks pretty cool. It's different. Never seen it before. It's safer than probably tattoo, and maybe not because of infection. And pinch of salt, shades of grey. So. Yeah, I kind of like some of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I do. But again, if you were to sort of see some beings that maybe play around with the eyebrows, I mean, if you could. I know someone that once had these, I don't know, man, there was these artificial things they do, implants or something on the head, and they made a very nice pattern with that. Well, I thought that was fascinating. I was like, what the hell? Well, they was impressed. Oh, yeah, TJ, look at this, man. I got all of these in here. I'm like, this is fascinating. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, I'll think about getting a couple more. But it's really good, though. They're implants. They're not permanent or anything. Awesome. Yeah, I guess you get them out the same way you put them in. Yeah. Yes, that's pretty much it. Fascinating. I never thought of that, but, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, again, this stuff can go that way. It's probably a little risky, but depends who you are. Depends who you are. So, and we do this. Implants would be those stretchy earring things. Looks like it's great for padlocks. Yeah, so someone I know had one of those, so I locked a padlock in it. And made him pay me for the key. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. I did put the padlock in, but I took it out afterwards. But I actually left it. Found it pretty cool. Oh, I miss it. Okay. You know what? Definitely holy. I fucking am now. Look at this. Yeah. Ring a ding ding. I can get my whole arm through that. Yeah. What, each to their own. I find this fascinating. I like it. It's not for me, that sort of stuff. Implants, maybe, yeah, perhaps. Enhance the features. People get nose jobs. Same thing, it's enhancing your features. Nothing wrong with it. It's just what you do. But where does it come from? That's the question. And again, if you see something, you fascinate over it, don't you? You want to be like that. And perhaps you're not ready at the time. But look at that, it opens up your thinking. Now, whether they were visited via ET, question mark, or whether it was something else that was guiding them. And then there's two types of guidance, isn't there? I mean, if you learn the guidance and you understand these, we'll start to talk about the God. Can you hack it? Can you mirror it? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Yeah, it's a different area of the brain, I believe. So anyway, but even still, you'd have to be implanted, no doubt. But again, it depends on which way some of these have gone. Being able to see, we've made telescopes, we did this, we did that. They might have done something a little different. So perhaps theirs is more picking up life forms from vast distances. Ours is utilizing magnification over vast distances and able to see. And there's more than several ways of seeing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure not all beings look humanoid. They have no eyes or ears. They have no need for them, but they can see. That's the thing. And if they've incorporated technology as well, I mean, that's very interesting. Perhaps they had to. But then that would make you think something, wouldn't it? How the hell did you manage to do that? And then any exchange of technology would be a beautiful thing. Anyway, I'm probably going to wind down from this because it's the higher reach. But you have a ponder on that. But it's when life forms reach through life forms and feel something, this feeling. And it makes it even more harder to disprove. Now, whether that's ancestral, and then is there a way to identify which parts this is? Because I think, yes, there is ancestral. You feel that. Yes, there is a higher power. It's not one, it's multi. It's almost like a star, if you want to put it that way. A star. Technically, there's multiple ways in. If you believe in ancestral, there's one. You've just identified something that maybe I don't feel that and understand it because that's not where I'm at in the brain. But when I shift over towards it and I hear people talk about it, and again, I still don't understand it because my filters are slightly different, but I appreciate it. And then if they uploaded what they see into a database, it would enhance my understanding of that in this way. And the group dynamic has evolved this thought process. And perhaps they're seeing it at this part of the brain as then being able to be sensitive enough to be able to locate which part of that. And if it's all going through the same area, it appears on, let's say, an EAG machine. Oh, this part of the brain's lighting up on a scan or whatever. It might appear that way to that all of them are lighting up in this part of the brain. But then as we evolve and we go further forwards, what we might be able to do is start noticing, hang on a minute, there are little splinters here. You get it sort of opens the doorway into it, and what appears to be a blank sort of, an area that's lighting up. Perhaps if we look a little bit more closer, we might see that there are different ways of accessing that, and therefore there's different ways of accessing ancestral, and then there are different ways of understanding deity, God, ET. Maybe it's possible. And then the more we enhance, and then if anything else is sharing theirs, it's another enhancement. Again, it would be finding that out. I think it's on the verge of it, mind. It's an interesting vessel. And then if you add in extra eye, being a camera, you've got your third eye, your normal sight eyes, and then you've got your inner eye, and then so that is your third eye, isn't it? So let's go again. You've got your third eye, and then you've got your eyes, and then you have a camera sight, which will allow you to see more than any of these. But if we understand that, it's a bit like religion and understanding all sorts of stuff like that. It's very interesting. You're on the verge of imagination, eyesight, imagination, eyesight, imagination, eyesight. There are two there. Two. Maybe even more than that, actually. But technically, you've got your main two. And if you focus in and out on this, you then understand that. Now, is it the same with this? You've got to focus just by switching a dial, and then you're able to. Yeah. Who knows? And love becomes a real beautiful thing again, as opposed to it being. No, I don't want to use the word shallow because it's unfair. But I think that looking back, that if individuals were able to create this, put this in the mind, and have a chip, you would understand love. Not just any love, true love. That's what it would help you understand. Why? Because you'd see it. and you would feel it, because then we would get into the ratio of feeling and understanding and sending that thought and feeling that, and then you would understand that love is about two energies that reverberate or vibrate at the same frequency as one another, because then you can feel it. They feel what you feel. And then I got to ask a question: how much does that enhance relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that click.
Yeah.
It's very hard to see the click ratio, and it's hard to understand people's true intentions, which I think bridges the gap for anyone that's famous. If anyone got famous and
Yeah.
do you really love me, or is it this?
Yeah.
Is there an agenda there?
Yeah.
And what it does is that's a reciprocal gap, that is,
Yeah.
because someone may genuinely love someone who is famous,
Yeah.
and it be with the purest intention, but because of years of unpure intentions around, they might walk away from that thinking that it's unpure,
Yeah.
and that person then loses out, and this person equally loses out on that. And so it's a very much, literally in this essence, it's a two-way street. Two frequencies come together as one and reverberate at the same frequency. Is I think I did a video a long time. It's about the alignment of chakras, because you feel, don't you? You feel on many levels, and some of us click in certain aspects, maybe minds, maybe this, maybe that. And is that really love? And it sounds hypocritical for me to say it now, but it's more for the future. When they look back, they'll get it. They'll hey. It's like he already invented this thing. How the fucking hell did he? Yeah, anyway, ego, whatever, I don't really care. But still, yeah, like, it's that sort of, I don't see how it would be ego, because I technically may not be here. I say may, going to use that lightly.
Yeah.
But even still, to be able to feel it on each level, if you are able to connect this to one another, that's a very beautiful thing, because not only that you would feel it, you would know it, which is the mind will align. This will align your tastes. That's obvious. Your hearing, the words, the purity of that, the connection, the belly, your gut feeling, and also sex. Most people don't want to talk about that, but still, but passion, not just sex. There's sort of making love, the truest form. And if you can align all of these at once, I mean, that must be a hell of an experience. And then, what the hell have we been missing out on? That's another question there, because we're very blind, because we've got it at default level. Perhaps the ancients knew more. So, and again, maybe that got shut down because there was a few, people in this sort of hierarchy structure over here in the past, perhaps were like, we're going to be the ones that only have true love. Let's keep this nosh, yeah? Put it under the hat. And then via default, that is also hierarchical, because we always find true love. That can often, it opens the door for this too. That's the real thing that opens up. It opens up the equality, the truest version of it. And there are some things that you may know. There are also some things that other people know, and can also help you bridge versus bridging, because it's been a tricky history, hasn't it? It's been very tricky. And the further back we go, it probably was less tricky or more tricky. We don't know. And there are a lot of things that were lost, the information that was lost, and perhaps things were meant to be passed on to a successor, but never did get passed on to a successor. Maybe these ones got killed in the process. Maybe a massive event happened, and this information just temporarily, just like Mars is temporarily dormant. It's only dormant. It's temporarily. If a meteorite of good size hits it again, piece breaks off, creates a new moon and whatever else, and it gets nice and hot, all of that metal will sink back down again. And what's Mars? Well, in the lineup to be on the verge of being another star, perhaps, maybe gets consumed and goes on to be a central sun or star. It's only dormant. All of this stuff is dormant. And even if humans were to take it and be like, nah, not going to be a planet now, it still will go on to be something. And if something happens to that module or those pieces and it comes together again, it goes on to be a star. So that's very beautiful. Or it gets eaten by a black hole and perhaps next time goes on to be a star. So yes, any Yetis that are very far will understand a lot more levels, an awful lot more, especially about the universe, and then they become teachers. external teachers
Okay.
and you've got internal teachers. And they'll make you ask another question. What's the universe really preparing you for? Think about that. Anyway, it's enough to open the mind, this one. It really opens the mind. It really stretches and squeezes. And it's so flirtatious. It's unbelievable. And I kind of like that. Yeah. Just sort of go to the edge and just sort of flick it. Just sort of hint with it. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, these are all possibilities. And deities, gods, or whatever. You'll understand that. Yes, perhaps. But higher power? Ooh. Ooh, what's it evaluating you for? And all of you. And can you imagine that? Did you know the life form being incarnate from a higher place would only need to talk to one species at a time? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Because it would only need to give you a piece of a puzzle and gives another one a piece of a puzzle, and then you have to come together in order to connect those pieces of the puzzle. Interesting, isn't it? All in good time. And then, yes, it's interesting sort of world, isn't it? And how do you come together and sort through those barriers? Because, yeah, before we get on to combining nature and life forms from one to the other, because this one only talks about one version of you doing it, and then if you combine a couple together, I mean, that would be a very interesting outcome. What does that look like? One lump of intelligence followed by the human essence and the Eti's essence coming together to create a brand new essence. Plus with this essence, then combined with that essence. And then what happens about that data in the DNA strands? That if you were to then, I don't know, because future generations would go on from that, that if they all then came together, these ones here and the combined essences here all came together on one biome and they understood stuff and it was very peaceful. Eventually, you could imagine that they would begin to breed with each other. What type of information is being shared then? And then how does it change it going forwards, for the better, for the worse? Never without problems. But by then, the technology should have evolved further because there's more of you and more thoughts. And these ones had thoughts that came this way, yours came this way, these ones came this way, and these ones come this way. And that combine that knowledge and those thoughts, how many breakthroughs, how many pieces of the puzzle. Interesting. And they would know things that you wouldn't. They would know things that you don't, and these ones would know things that you don't. And when you come together, then you have a brand new knowing. Ooh, where does it lead you? Where is this all leading you to? It's interesting, isn't it? Where does it come to? Much more advanced, and they can also teach you internally. You learn from within, but you also learn from outside of you, which, again, if there is the hands of a higher power, it's working through you all. So that's interesting as well, isn't it? And how much is it learning from you as opposed to you learning from it? Yes. Oh, yes. Teacher and student. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? Right in the middle of that. Because you're both. And all. And more. And anything else. Right, I'm going to leave this one here. So, yeah, that's a little bit of some thought to chew on. But that reach, the higher reach. Yeah. Would that enhance your belief, or does it, like I said, usually when you get some answers, it usually answers those questions, but it gives you more questions to ask.
Yeah, always.
Always. And until you know. Fully know. And then you know that, and then you have some more questions to ask, and then that's you might understand that God's a little bit more in that aspect. So yeah, many different variations, and I think it's beautiful, and I think it's a part of the journey, isn't it? It's all a part of the journey, the good, the bad, your ancestors that were snacks. You go back in past long enough, and yeah, they truly did walk in the dark ages, didn't they? Yeah. And next one. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? To be a snack. I mean, that's not something that humans can really process, is it? To be eaten. To be food. Can you imagine that? Another way to think about it is like sprinkling a load of humans With sharks, you know, if sharks were to eat you, I mean, maybe they don't like you right now because your blood and different things like that, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't eventually. Push them against an ice age and whatever else, or push them past extinction, and their food source runs out. They will not worry about the taste. They wouldn't be very picky. And then, just snacks. It's brutal. Let's hope it all goes vegetarian. No, vegan. Vegetarian? Oh, anyway, but, I think there are other ways to achieve this. I don't think it ever goes fully vegan, but still. You wouldn't eat monkeys, would you? There's no one ever eating monkeys, is there? It's just monkeys that eat other monkeys, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that. Monkeys is something that doesn't appeal to me.
And that's not cannibalism, is it?
If they eat monkeys?
No, if humans eat monkeys.
No.
It's weird. I find that is cannibalism.
No.
I need Neil deGrasse Tyson to give me some categorization on there. Do you know what I mean? And then people will be like, yeah, but some people eat wasps. They do? Among bumblebees. Is that not cannibalism as well? Isn't it like 30% of the strands of... Anyway, I never know. Yeah, that chops and changes every time, but even still. Wouldn't that be almost like partially cannibalistic? No? No? All right. Okay, so we descended from monkeys, but it's not cannibalism if you eat monkeys. Okay, all right. I'm glad we got that one ironed out. No, it's still creased. It's like this iron doesn't work. Do you follow? Maybe you don't. I don't know. There's some strange. Very strange. That is. So we evolved from monkeys, primates, but to eat them isn't cannibal. So they don't eat us cannibal? Okay, this get weird and. Anyway, gotta leave this one here, but yeah, there we are. That's it. That's me done.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.